Hey friend, welcome back to Crafter Support. If you're new, I'm Andrea, and today we're going to be doing another video for mastering your Cricut Joy and your Cricut Joy Extra. So the first thing I need to do is I'm making a craft room sign, and I want it to simply say craft room, because when this is hanging up, family members of mine will know that's when I'm videoing or doing work in my craft room, and I wanted just something very simple and cute. So I'm looking at the free images because I'm an Access member, and I'm trying to decide which one I like best. And I choose this one with the bubbly font and the little cursive. I thought that was really cute. And all you need to do is click Add to Canvas and click View. So I love these projects for beginners as well because they're super easy to do. So the main thing we have to do is change the size. Now, when you change the size, you have two options, obviously the height and the width, and there's a little lock there. When that is locked, that is going to keep your aspect ratio to proper size, meaning it's not going to distort your image. If you change the width, it's automatically going to change the height to make it fit perfectly for the design that you have. Now, once you unlock it, you can change and make different changes, and only the height or the width is going to change. Just make sure when you're done, you lock it back up so it keeps the integrity of the design. So once we have that, we're going to go over here. We're going to choose the machine we're using, which is the Joy. Honestly, we should have done that first, but I forgot. But that's usually what I do first. So now this is completely ready. We have our design ready to go. And all we have to do, this is the thing I love about Cricut. They make it so simple with their pre-designed images. You just size them for the size that you want. And then you go up here to make it and you click make it. And it's going to give you the option to save, which I am going to do that. I like to save all of my projects. I love that this is something fairly new. It's been out for a little while, that it gives you this option where I used to make sure I always saved it before I moved on from here. My initial decision was to use smart material with this, and I was going to use a gold, but you're going to see that here in a minute. So this is all set up. It's telling me how much smart material I need, and this is what the design is going to look like and how it's going to cut. But as we jump forward, you're going to see that we need to pick our material. And as I'm scrolling through the material, I find the Smart Material permanent vinyl, and that's what we're using. And you just click on the material that you're using, and then you'll drop down, click OK. And now it's just going to see if you need more pressure or less pressure. I keep it on default for this. And it has the steps that you need to take. So you need to make sure your blade is in, and you need to feed in your machine. So let's jump to the items that we're going to be using. I have some tropical sampler colors and removable vinyl, and I have the smart material that I thought I was going to use, and a weeding tool, a scraper, obviously my Joy, a paper trimmer, and this is the sign that I'm going to make. Now, this sign was purchased at Hobby Lobby. It was originally like $7.49, I think it says, and I got it at 40% off. I normally never buy anything at Hobby Lobby unless it's on sale, just because of their sales are so good, and they're like repeated. So I was gonna paint this, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna leave it alone, because I think I'm gonna double side this sign. I think I'm gonna do another design on the back for maybe Halloween or Christmas or something, so I can switch it up a bit. But since I'm using removable vinyl, I'll be able to do that either way. So I don't have the names of these colors, and I apologize, but if I can find the tropical sampler to link for you guys, I absolutely will. The one thing to know about removable vinyl is it is something that you want to use indoors. So if you're making a decal for your wall, or you're making a sign, or you're putting it on a mirror or something like that, using removable is going to save you a ton of time, money, and effort, because it's easy to remove, but it stays on as long as you stick, once you stick it on, it stays on until you pull it off. But it's easier to pull off than any permanent vinyl that you're going to use. Now, what I do suggest is always checking the back of your vinyl, like you saw how it was rolled out. Cricut marks theirs, whether it's removable or it's permanent. And I believe the permanent is green and the removable is that like grayish green color. And that's how you know. So if you have a little scrap and you're not sure, just look at the colors. So here are some of the other colors: a purple, a green, and a yellow that came with this sampler set. I got this in a mystery box a while back. And then I was thinking that I was going to do the different letters in different colors. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just do all gold letters and I'll do the background half pink, half blue, and I'll just chop them in half and it'll look super cute. Until I open my gold smart vinyl. I realize it's not all gold smart vinyl, it's a sampler as well, and it has blue and red and gold, and obviously there wasn't enough, so I needed to change it up a bit, and I decided that I was going to do the background all blue, and then I was going to make the words all pink, and I'm really glad I did that, actually. I'm glad it worked out that way because it turned out super cute. And I just need to like make some room here so we can trim out our material. So the sign just needs to be measured at this point because we want to make sure whenever we're doing any project that we measure twice, cut once. So here I'm just deciding, do I want the pink in the background or the blue? I was going back and forth. I wanted to make sure that I made the right decision. So I decided with a blue on the background. So now I just needed to measure to make sure I was cutting precisely the size that I need to fit inside of the sign. So I measured it at 14, and I forget what this roller is called. It's like a fabric roller. I just think it works easier with anything that has like a frame around it so I can like tuck it down in the edges. And it goes to 4.5. So I'm going to cut this at 7 by 4.5, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces because my material is only 12 inches long. So the first set I want to cut is going to be, like I said, 4.5 by 7. So now I'm just putting my little ruler away and I'm going to paper trim this up. So if you don't have the paper trimmer or you don't have a paper trimmer, I think that's really essential to have if you're working with vinyl or paper, even just paper. I'm terrible with scissors. I mean, it is how it is. I'm not good with scissors. I just cut everything kind of wonky. The paper trimmer is amazing. This one is not very expensive at all. I use this for all of my Cricut material. I'm kind of a brand snob. I do try to keep everything within the brand that I'm using because I just think it's designed for that and it's going to work best for that. So if you don't have a paper trimmer, I do suggest they're not expensive. You can get any brand, but just try to get your hands on one and it will make cutting a lot easier, especially when you're using your Cricut mats to keep everything straight. So here I've already cut the 4.5 and now I'm cutting it at the 7 mark. And next I need to cut another strip just because it was a 12 by 12 piece of vinyl. So you guys will have to tell me how you are with brands. Like, do you are you true to brands or do you like just use whatever altogether? I'm kind of interested in that because that's something that I've always been a brand person. Not like it doesn't have to be like a certain name brand. It's just whatever brand I'm using. I want to use all of that brand so that I feel it's going to work better. I don't know. It could just be me. I could really, truly just be me. But yeah, I'd love to know. Like, I'm interested. Are you guys like that? So here I'm just cutting the second piece, making sure everything is lined up. And now we're ready to do the background. So how I wanted to do this was obviously from left to right and just like press them up against each other in the center. Something happened to the rest of this little section of me doing the blue, like only half of it filmed. I got a new camera and I'm still working with it. It's a great camera. It confuses me a little bit. So I think I might have backed out of something and lost the footage, but it was just me doing the right hand side. The left hand side you guys see. So all you're going to have to do is once you get your first piece down, just make sure you match up the right hand side to make it fit. So here's the backing. Here I'm showing you the backing that it's removable vinyl. And it's like a grayish green color, grayish brownish green color. And I think I actually need my weeding tool to get this corner started because I just cut all my nails back. But the main purpose of this is this is going to be my background color. I could have painted this after processing everything. I was like, oh, I totally could have painted that, and instead of, you know, worrying about the background. But then I was like, well, that would have taken some extra time. But you could absolutely paint yours if that's what you want to do. Your vinyl will still lay down very nicely on it, and most of the time the paint's fine. Once you paint, you might have to do some touch-ups based on the transfer tape, but here I just pull a little corner back on the vinyl. I line it up and tuck it into the corner of the sign, and I hold it in place, and I make sure that it's going to fit, and then I just pull that little tab that I made for myself and I press it down, and it just lines up. And this way here, you know, you have it in the right place. And then you can use your little scraper tool, and here's where the footage just goes bye-byes. Like, I don't know where it goes. But here we're just pressing it down, and then I do the right hand side. Now I have to cut the pink for the letters. So what I'm doing is I'm just measuring it out. I know it needs to be 3 3/4 wide, and I need the full 12 inches so that there's enough room to cut everything. So now I'm going to be using my standard grip green mat for my Cricut Joy, and I'm just going to line up the left hand corner, and then I'm going to adjust it for the bottom, and then just press it down. I do use my brayer. The brayer makes a huge difference when cutting vinyl or paper or anything. It just gives it a good press down on the mat so nothing is shifting or moving whenever you cut it. So now we have our Cricut Joy, and I love the Cricut Joy. It sits on my desk since pretty much the day I've gotten it. It sat on my desk, and I've used it almost every single day up until I wasn't feeling well. But now I'm back to using it pretty frequently, not as much every day because I have my Cricut Joy Extra, and I just kind of go back and forth with those machines. I love them both for different reasons. So now that we have this ready, once your machine starts flashing, you know that means you need to do something. So all I was doing was telling through my laptop, I was saying I'm ready to cut, and it says, okay, go ahead and load your mat. So my mat is loaded, and now it's also going to prompt me to since it's all lined up, it's going to say click go, and it'll begin cutting. And that's what I'm doing on the computer right now, is I'm just clicking go, and it will start cutting out our image. So the one thing to know, and I don't remember if I already said this or not, is your removable vinyl, in my opinion, is thinner than the permanent vinyl, which makes sense, right? But I think it's way easier to weed as well because it's not as thick. So hindsight, like I said, I could have painted the wood instead of using vinyl on it, but I could have also went with a white material in the back instead of the blue, but it still turns out super cute. It's going to match my craft room really, really well. I just feel like because it's thin, you can kind of see through it a little bit, and you guys will be able to see that. Now that it's all finished cutting, all we have to do is click unload on our laptop, mobile device, whatever you're using. And to remove this from the mat, we're just going to flip the mat over and roll it back. These mats are really flexible, and it just makes it a lot easier whenever you need to lay your material flat to weed it. So what weeding is just like the garden. You're going to get rid of all of the things that you don't want. And I find it easiest to start at a corner, go at an angle, and just kind of rock your material back and forth. So here I feel like a resistance, so I know I need to come the opposite way at an angle. And I see that the A has like that swirly curly Q. So I just take my weeding tool and I go up underneath the material and pop it out. And then I'm just going to kind of ball it up in my hand and pull the main piece out. So the largest part of the weeding is done. Now we can just go in and pull out all of the little pieces. Now, if you don't like using a weeding tool for the larger pieces, it's kind of easy to just fold the material back and pull it out with your fingers. But I find it a little bit easier just to run my finger over it, see where the line is, and like weed it that way. Also, if you see, what I'm doing is I balled up the material I pulled, and this, I'm leaving some of the sticky side out, and that's where I'm placing all of my little tiny pieces that I'm removing. That way they're not everywhere, because they can fly everywhere. This way here, they're not everywhere, they're kept together, and then I can just throw one little ball of weeded pieces out. So now we're going into transfer tape. So I did have other transfer tape, but I wanted to share with you guys because I get this question a lot. Can you only use Cricut material with your Cricut? Absolutely not. You can use any brand. There are some I recommend and some I do not recommend. And I'm going to be doing a video on that for you guys very soon. It's either, I think it's Friday's video. That we're going to be discussing some things about different materials, but you can use different materials. Like you don't have to stick to Cricut materials if you don't want to, if you choose not to. So this is an off-brand. This is a brand I purchased from Amazon, and it's a transfer tape. I do like it. It's okay. I prefer my Cricut transfer tape, but I know that is one that people either love or hate, and I'm a lover of it, but it was in the other craft area and I was just using what I had available to me. And since I don't mind this one too much, I wanted to just go ahead and use it. So the best thing is to, like you saw how I just pulled that little corner up, tucked it under the same way of how I laid the vinyl, and then you just pull and press, and you can cover your whole design without bubbles. There's no issues when you do it that way. I pretty much do everything either with a corner or at an angle here at Crafter Support. It just works for me. So now I'm going to trim off that extra because I don't want a lot of extra when I'm trying to decide where I want my design to go on my mat, or I'm sorry, on my sign. Because if you have too much, then it'll get in the way, and it's just kind of a pain whenever you have too much sticky all around. So I'm just trimming this off, and it's just helpful. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get it ready to be scraped, so that scraping your design just helps it adhere to the sticky of the transfer tape. And all you have to do is take your scraper tool and just run over all of the letters or whatever your design is, and just go back and forth. You can flip it over if you need to. I don't find that necessary all the time, especially with removable vinyl, because it is thinner. So that's just my opinion of it. You may still want to flip it over and do the back, but I don't ever feel that I have to. Okay, so here I'm using the grid lines to just kind of line it up, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace here, and I'm going to just say, okay, that looks good. So I cut a little piece here in a second of the transfer tape to tape down the edge of one side of my design, and I do that so I don't lose my position of where I want it to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is find out where the center of my design is. I'm going to take and match the edge of the C to the edge of the M, and not from edge to edge of the transfer tape because it's off. You want to go by the design, and that's why there's a little gap there between the edge of the transfer tape and the actual design itself. So don't press your vinyl, only press the top of your transfer tape and give yourself a little line, and that's how you can line up your center. And the reason we know it's the center is because when I cut the material for the blue material, I averaged it out. I did 7 inches and 7 inches, so I know where that line is the center of my frame. So now I'm just taking a little piece of transfer tape, making sure my line is lined up, and I'm pressing it down just to hold this end of my design in place for where I want it. So it's just a temporary hold until I peel this back and I give myself another little corner that I pull back the back strip, and I just give myself an angle. Okay, so this will help. Actually, I pulled the whole piece off. I usually just pull an angle off. So All I did was gave myself about 1.5 inches to press it down, and then I can easily remove this little piece of transfer tape, and it just held everything in place for me until I was ready to lift and pull this and press my design down. This helps immensely with bubbles and things being out of whack and being, wonky. It really does help with that little tiny piece of transfer tape to just hold everything in place. So now I'm just scraping my design, getting all of the letters nice and pressed down, because once we remove the transfer tape, we don't want it to lift any of our design up and off of the sign. So I'm going to carefully, with pressure and at an angle, peel the transfer tape away from my design. And this is working perfectly. Like I said, this transfer tape is okay. I don't mind using it. However, I do prefer my Cricut transfer tape normally. So there, my design looks great. I love how it turned out. It's going to look really, really cute in my craft room. Now, I do go back and press because of the seam in my, the blue vinyl. I do press that a little bit extra, and then I just go over some of the letters. When you're doing this, be super careful that you don't scrape up your letter. But other than that, it turned out so cute, and I am really, really happy with the way it looks. So guys, I hope these videos are helping you. I'm really wanting to give you basic videos for you guys to just grow from and just make amazing things. I have other videos on my channel that you guys can go to and kind of get more ideas for a little bit more advanced use of your Cricut Joy. So if that's something you want to see, great. I'll put some links below. But other than that, guys, that's all. That's how easy it is to make a cute sign for at your house, for your child's room, for your room, for whatever room you want to make a sign for your door, whatever. It's so easy and it's that simple. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying this series. If you are, I'd love for you to give me a thumbs up and share my video. It really helps me. And yeah, that's all, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. And I have a fun video as well. I have the new paper pumpkin for April kit coming up for tomorrow, plus a Joy video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.